Our stock of the day in the news today, Downer EDI, provider of integrated services for design, building, particularly in the infrastructure and facilities space. The company filing a defence against class action proceedings brought against it for allegedly making misrepresentations and withholding certain information about a maintenance contract in its domestic utilities business in July 2019. So a class action lawsuit was filed on behalf of shareholders who bought Downer shares between July 2019 and February 2023 after the company admitted to overstating its pre-tax earnings due to accounting irregularities. Additionally, Downer said it's pleaded a defensive third-party statement of claim and proportionate liability defence against its auditor, KPMG. The commencement of that proceedings has led KPMG to resign as the auditor of Downer. There's a lot happening in that space with counterclaims at the moment, and over the course, of course, of that period, we have seen the Downer share price has suffered, but just in the past sort of 6 months, it's regained some momentum there. So interested to see how our experts view the stock. Also off the back of earnings season, of course, December half did outpace consensus there, and a lot of that also to do with extra cost savings and gearing. We saw that seem to be the thematic across the board, actually, with earnings season. But as mentioned there, it is trying to restore confidence in the company after that torrid year, which has essentially continued to play out in the courts. Kai, what's your view on Downer?
Yeah, so obviously going off the back of that class action, its pre-tax income has been understated, and they're getting rid of KPMG as their auditor. So it'll be interesting to see who they bring as a new auditor. But with earnings seasons, they actually reported fairly strong in terms of their net profit, so their margins are actually increasing. So that's why after the reportings, they've had a decent jump in their share price. So I think given that taking out the class action, I think it's actually reported quite well.
All right. So what would you do with the stock?
I would probably hold on to Downer's. I would probably hold on to the stock.
Okay, but particularly given that jump we've seen, certainly since it reported, which has been significant. How do you view where it's sitting at the moment in terms of the valuation? It's up 16% over the past month. Yeah,
that's right. I think in terms of valuation, it might be towards the higher end.
Right.
But I think that it's still got some restructuring going for it. They're doing some good things in terms of operational efficiencies. If I wouldn't put it as a buy, as you said, in terms of valuation, but if you've got it in your portfolio, I would hold it.
All right, okay. David, thoughts?
Yeah, fairly similar views to Kai. It's a business that's in a turnaround phase, and I think the result that we saw was part of that turnaround, and I think that will continue over the next few years. So, yeah, as Kai said, they're probably fairly fully valued at current levels. They're trading on a PE of about 21 times, but consensus forecasts are that earnings will rise by about 40% in the next 12 months and by another 13% in financial year 25. So the expectations are that the future PE will decline as earnings rise. So, and that's partly due to the company having new management, cleaning it up, that cost out program. So I think there is positivity in the share price, but probably where they're at the moment, I'd be holding as well. I think that short term a little bit fully valued, but medium and longer term, assuming that the company's able to deliver on that turnaround story, it should actually generate some longer term returns.
And David, given the issues it's had, or still having really, as we know, certainly as we see what's going on in the courts at the moment, what does that do to a stock? Clearly reputational damage, but more broadly just as far as how investors will view the management of the company that something like this sort of happened, essentially.
Yes, it's certainly not good, and that they have had a management clean out as a result of these issues. One of the problems with investing in companies like Downer and the next company that we'll look at, Lend Lease as well, is with the large contracts. It's very difficult to account for them, and quite often they do have fairly large write-downs if those contracts haven't been negotiated properly. So it is a risk factor, and it will be a risk factor going forward. But I think what we've seen in the last couple of years is Downer have made the right moves, and they are doing the right things to put the past behind them and have a cleaner outlook going forward.
All right, so that is our stock of the day, Downer EDI, a hold from both. Let's get